Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Victor learns more about Noah from Victoria and Nikki when they visit the Newman Ranch. In order to complete his recovery, they anticipate his arrival in Genoa City. Victoria is grateful that her daddy gave Noah a security team since the police don't seem to be following up on the crash. The mustache informs them that Michael is looking into Sienna and this Bacall guy, but the husband seems to have left no trace anywhere. He's determined to find out what's going on. They're surprised but thrilled to hear Baldwin is lending his assistance. After Victoria exits, her father changes the subject to Claire. Nikki brings up Holden and the awkwardness when Kyle showed up. When she inquires about the urgent callback for the junior abbot, her husband shrugs. He does not wish for Claire to be with Holden or Kyle. She has better things to do. Nikki demands to know if Victor has collaborated with Kane to utilize the AI, despite Victor's attempts to change the subject. He says that Phyllis took it and gave it to him after she had stolen it. Rather than unleashing it on Jabot, he used it to teach Kane a lesson. Bravo, she says, impressed. Sharon wonders why Matt's back. In Sharon's hotel room in LA, Nick urges her to eat her giant sandwich so she can cool off. She can't help wondering about whether leaving Noah's bedside was the right choice. She laments that disease Matt Clark's return. How can she think of anything else? He offers to contact security to check in. Sienna sneaks into Noah's room. While the guard is distracted, Sienna slips into Noah's hospital room. She apologizes to him while seated near him. Waking, he asks why. She says, "This shouldn't have happened to you." He can hardly recall the crash and needles her for details. All he has are flashbacks of the club. The guard catches them together, but Noah insists she stay and sends him away. Noah continues questioning Sienna about the crash and why she feels so responsible for it. She admits he was with her at the club until he got a call and left. Mitch places new Burroughs orders. Burroughs is drinking with Mitch at the Shadow Room, who demands an update on whether Noah will wake up. The detective informs him that Noah is alive and well, with the bandages off. Additionally, his grandfather provided him with security. Burroughs is sure he was pulling for him not to wake up and worried he missed his window. Getting more irritated, Mitch tells him to do what he's told. The guilty must pay, he says. The detective worries that this is getting too complicated, and there is growing pressure on both of them. After handing him an envelope, Mitch orders him to get rid of Noah's guard. Nick gets a call about Noah's visitor. Back in Sharon's hotel room, Nick tells Sharon the guard said everything is fine. She continues to vent about how much Matt must have loved luring Noah in. They speculate on the role Sienna could be playing and whether there is a plot against the whole family. Nick tries to keep her calm. She admits she's having a hard time doing the things she advises her clients to. Nick senses that something is off and their son is hiding things from them. There must be something big at play. Sharon wonders if that's why Matt wants to get rid of him. There has to be a different way to figure out what's going on because their son and Matt are unlikely to tell them anything. Matt is back from the dead, but why is he going after Noah, and why now? Sharon is sure there is no logic to this. They have to make sure Matt stays away this time. Nick is informed by the guard when the guard calls that a woman is visiting Noah. The parents assume it is Sienna, and Nick decides to go over and question her. Once he heads out, Sharon exits on her own. Sharon demands to know what Matt wants. Mitch is cornered at the bar by Sharon, who storms into the Shadow Room and demands that he stop lying and pretending. She promises to do whatever it takes to stop him. He insists, "You're wrong who you think I am." She is adamant that he is a violent rapist and he tells her they aren't all degenerates in LA. When she accuses him of not being human, he claims he just saw something in her son and wanted to do business with him, but she keeps hounding him for it. Sharon demands to know what he wants and why he tried to kill her son. Nick catches Sienna in Noah's room. He checks his phone logs once more in Noah's hospital room. He sees how long Sienna spoke to his father. He and she both do not recognize the phone number. Noah wants to call. His phone dies, and she refuses to lend him a charger. She reminds him that he almost died. She is reassured by Noah that everything is fine and will only get better. As they kiss, Nick arrives at the door and sees them through the window. At the sprawling Newman Ranch, tension hung in the air like static before a storm. The morning sunlight cut through the vast picture windows of the great room as Victoria and Nikki joined Victor, each woman wearing the weary look of someone carrying too many worries and too few answers. The mustache himself sat at his desk, phone in hand, finalizing a terse conversation with Michael Baldwin. The moment he hung up, his sharp eyes flicked toward his wife and daughter. "What's happened now?" he asked, voice gruff but controlled. Victoria, ever the businesslike daughter even in moments of chaos, wasted no time in filling him in about Noah's recovery. "Dad," she began softly, "he's doing better, but it's slow. The doctors say he's stable, but he's not out of the woods yet. We're hoping he'll come home to Genoa City soon to finish his recovery. Being surrounded by family might help." Nikki nodded in agreement, visibly relieved to see Victor's usually stoic expression soften. "Good," Victor rumbled. "That child requires his family." He leaned back in his chair, his gaze flickering with pride when Victoria added that she was grateful he'd arranged for a private security team for Noah. The police, she explained bitterly, seemed uninterested in investigating the crash that nearly killed her nephew. "They're treating it like a simple accident," she scoffed. "But it wasn't. Someone wanted him hurt, maybe worse." Victor nodded knowingly. "That's why I took matters into my own hands," he said. "Michael is digging into Sienna and that Bacall guy she was mixed up with. But so far, the husband, this so-called Mitch Bacall, has left no trace. It's as if he doesn't exist." The women exchanged uneasy glances. Even for the Newmans, who had dealt with ghosts, imposters, and long-buried secrets, the idea of someone erasing their entire identity was chilling. Victoria's voice trembled just slightly. "So Michael's really helping?" she asked. Victor's eyes gleamed with rare warmth. "He is," he confirmed. "Baldwin's always been a loyal friend. He will investigate this thoroughly." The tension in the room shifted, surprise gave way to relief. "That's incredible," Nikki admitted, a proud smile tugging at her lips. "If anyone can expose the truth, it's Michael Baldwin." After a few more reassurances, Victoria kissed her father's cheek and promised to check on Noah again later. Once she exited, the air changed. Victor exhaled heavily and turned to Nikki. "Enough about that," he muttered, "how's Claire doing?" The mention of their newly discovered granddaughter darkened Nikki's expression. "She's holding up, but there's still so much awkwardness," Nikki confessed. "Especially after what happened with Holden, and then when Kyle showed up." She rubbed her eyes. "It was strange, Victor. Kyle was called back to Genoa City so suddenly. Do you know why?" Victor merely shrugged, his poker face unshakable. "I don't want Claire involved with either of them," he said firmly. "Kyle Abbott or Holden Maxwell, both are distractions she doesn't need. She's got better things to focus on than those two fools." Nikki gave him a look that said she wasn't convinced. "Better things like what? Your mysterious new business projects?" she teased lightly. But when Victor tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, her instincts kicked in. "Wait a second," she said sharply. "Victor Newman, have you been working with Kane Ashby again? Don't tell me you're using that AI software Jabot's been fighting over." Half-smiley lips curled Victor's lips. "You mean the AI Phyllis stole?" he countered. Nikki gasped. "Phyllis stole it, and you have it?" "I did," he admitted smoothly, folding his hands behind his back. "But instead of unleashing it on Jabot, I decided to use it, to teach Kane a lesson." Nikki blinked, then broke into a grin. "Bravo," she said, shaking her head with reluctant admiration. "I swear, Victor, you'll never retire. You'll be scheming from your hospital bed one day." As the scene changed into a new storm that was brewing far from the ranch, he chuckled, the sound being deep and familiar. Across the country, in a dimly lit hotel room in Los Angeles, Sharon sat cross-legged on the bed, her mind spinning faster than her heart could keep up. She saw a sandwich that had only been half-eaten and was now cold. Nick, seated across from her, sighed and urged her to eat. "Come on, Sharon. You need to keep your strength up. Worrying won't help Noah." But Sharon wasn't hearing him. Her thoughts were trapped in the past. "I can't stop thinking about him," she whispered. "And not just Noah. Matt Clark, that disease of a man, is back. After everything he did, after all the pain he caused," she trailed off, trembling. "How can I think about anything else?" Nick stood and paced the room, jaw tight. "I'll check in with security again," he offered, but Sharon shook her head. "It won't make a difference. Evil like Matt is hard to kill. He's here, and somehow, he's tangled up in this mess with Sienna." Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sienna crept down the corridor like a ghost. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she spotted the guard stationed outside Noah's room. Timing her move carefully, she waited until he stepped away to take a call, and then slipped inside. Noah lay asleep, the bandages around his head gone but his skin still pale. She hesitated before sitting beside him, her eyes filling with guilt. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "This never should have happened to you." His eyelids fluttered open, confusion clouding his expression. "Sienna?" His voice was weak. "Why are you sorry?" Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Because you got caught up in something you didn't deserve. The crash, it wasn't supposed to happen." Noah frowned, struggling to recall. "I remember, the club," he muttered. "Then a call. And, that's it." He searched her eyes. "What happened, Sienna?" Before she could answer, the guard returned, catching them. "Miss, you need to leave," he said sternly. But Noah sat up, wincing in pain. "She stays," he ordered. Reluctantly, the guard left, and Noah turned back to her. "Explain everything to me." Sienna took a deep breath. "You were with me until you got that call. You left, and then the crash happened." "But," she hesitated. "Someone wanted to hurt you, Noah. I think it was Mitch." At the shadow room, Mitch Bacall, aka Matt Clark, sat across from Detective Burrows, nursing a whiskey. "So?" he asked. "Did Newman wake up?" Burrows shifted uneasily. "He's alive. Awake. His grandfather hired security." "You missed your window." Mitch's eyes darkened. "Then make another one." Burrows blanched. "This is getting too complicated. Too many eyes on us." Mitch leaned in, voice low and dangerous. "The guilty must pay," he hissed, sliding an envelope across the table. "You'll take care of the guard. Tonight." The detective swallowed hard, pocketed the envelope, and nodded. "Understood." Back at Sharon's hotel, Nick re-entered the room, phone in hand. "Security says everything's fine," he told her. But Sharon wasn't convinced. "Fine? Nothing is fine. Matt's back, Nick. He's manipulating our son again, just like before." Nick sat beside her, taking her hand. "We'll figure it out. We always do." Sharon shook her head. "There's something else going on. I can feel it. Noah's hiding something. And so is Sienna." Nick mumbled, "Maybe Matt wants him gone. Maybe this is about revenge." "Then why now?" Sharon asked, her voice trembling. "Why go after Noah when there are so many other ways to get to us?" Before Nick could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his face hardening. "The guard says a woman's visiting Noah." Sharon's heart skipped. "Sienna." Nick grabbed his coat. "I'm headed to the hospital. I'll deal with her myself." Once he left, Sharon grabbed her purse, determination flashing in her eyes. "No," she whispered to herself. "I'll deal with Matt." At the shadow room, Sharon stormed inside like a force of nature, her eyes scanning the dim bar until they landed on Mitch. He looked up from his drink, smirking faintly. "Sharon," he greeted coolly. She yelled at him, "Don't you dare say my name," and marched up to him. "Stop lying. Stop pretending. Matt Clark, you are known to me." He raised an eyebrow. "You've got the wrong guy," he said. She hit the bar with both hands. "Don't fool around with me. You are a sick, violent man. You think you can come back from the dead and destroy my son's life again?" Mitch leaned closer, voice deceptively calm. "Not all men in LA are degenerates, sweetheart." "You're not a man," she spat. "You're a monster." He sighed, swirling his drink. "I saw something in your boy. Potential. That's all. I desired to conduct business." "Business?" She scoffed. "You attempted to kill him." After the last word, her voice cracked, and something flickered behind his eyes for a split second, perhaps regret or recognition, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "You don't know the full story," he said quietly. She hissed, "Oh, I know enough. And I swear, Matt, this time, you stay gone." Meanwhile, at the hospital, Noah checked his phone logs, frowning. "This number," he muttered. "I don't recognize it." "Do you?" Sienna shook her head, her nerves visibly fraying. "Don't call it." "Why not?" "Because whoever's behind this, they're dangerous." Before he could argue, his phone died. "Great," he sighed. "Charger?" She shook her head. "Forget it. You almost died, Noah. Maybe it's time to stop digging." Noah, however, brushed a hair from her face with a weak smile. "It's going to be fine. It'll only get better." Their lips met in a fragile kiss, just as Nick arrived outside the door. Through the window, he froze, watching his son tangled in an embrace with the woman who might be part of the very conspiracy threatening their family. His jaw clenched as betrayal and fury warred in his eyes. Nick Newman didn't know it yet, but he was seconds away from exploding, and when he did, nothing in the Newman world would ever be the same again. Nick's heart pounded in his chest as he stood frozen outside Noah's hospital room, staring through the glass window. The sight before him was a punch to the gut, his son, still bruised and weak from the crash, sharing a quiet, intimate moment with Sienna, the very woman who might have lured him into this nightmare. As flashes of everything Sharon had said earlier roared back, Matt Clark, the blood from Nick's face drained. Manipulation. Revenge. Hidden motives. Without thinking, Nick shoved the door open. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the sterile hospital corridor. Sienna jumped, her face pale with shock, while Noah flinched and tried to sit up. "Dad." Noah rasped, his voice strained. Every protective instinct was on high alert as Nick's eyes narrowed. "What the hell is going on here, Noah?" he demanded, his tone sharp and trembling with barely contained anger. "And what is she doing in your room after everything that's happened?" Sienna stood, her composure cracking. "Please, Mr. Newman." "Don't," Nick barked, stepping closer. "Don't say a word. You've done enough already." Noah struggled to swing his legs over the edge of the bed. "Stop it, Dad. She didn't do anything wrong." Nick shot him a disbelieving look. "Not wrong? You were almost killed, Noah. You think that's just bad luck? You think this woman showing up out of nowhere is coincidence?" Sienna didn't back down despite the tears that welled up in her eyes. "You don't understand," she whispered. "This wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't want any of it to." Nick cut her off. "Keep it. I've heard every version of that story before. People like you and your husband," he caught himself, lowering his voice but not his fury. "Where is he, Sienna? Where's Mitch Bacall?" Sienna's lips parted, but no sound came out. Her silence said everything. Noah looked between them, confusion etched across his face. "Dad, you're talking like she's part of some conspiracy. She's been with me through all of this. She..." She's lying to you, son, Nick said, softer now but no less serious. She's not who she says she is. And you know it. Look me in the eye and tell me you trust her. Noah hesitated, glancing at Sienna. That pause, that flicker of doubt, was enough for Nick. He pointed toward the door. You need to leave. Now. Sienna's voice broke. Noah, please. It's okay, Noah whispered, though his voice cracked. Just, go. Sienna looked shattered as she turned and hurried past Nick, her eyes brimming with tears. When she disappeared down the hallway, Nick finally exhaled, gripping the railing beside his son's bed. Noah slumped back against the pillows, glaring at him. You had no right to do that. I had every right, Nick shot back. I'm trying to keep you alive. Meanwhile, at the Shadow Room, Sharon's confrontation with Mitch had drawn attention. A few bar patrons glanced their way, sensing the danger radiating from her trembling body and his cold smirk. Why, Sharon? Mitch asked in a low, almost mocking tone. Why do you always assume I'm the villain in your story? Her eyes burned with tears and rage. Because you are. You hurt me, you terrorized me, and now you're coming for my son. You think I don't recognize your voice, Matt? You can change your name, your face, your city, but you'll always be that same monster. He swirled his drink lazily. He murmured, maybe I just wanted a second chance. You ever think of that?